for tomorrow morning, Kay.
Oh, right, of course.
He
Yeah.
still did not get approval on that.
We'll see you in the morning. So, Kay or Randy, if someone can hit the record, we'll get started.
We are recording.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another virtual meeting held by the Fishtown District as we try to guide everybody through the different aspects of COVID, whether it's bringing resources or information, and certainly what's on everybody's lips these days are vaccinations. What are they? Where are they? Where can I get them? How can I get them? What's the procedure? And we're very fortunate today to be joined by Zane Hadzick, a mitigation planning specialist for FEMA. Zane was telling us before we started that he literally has as much free time as he's ever had. So there's nothing going on with FEMA, but we certainly appreciate, I know you're a busy guy and we appreciate all that you're doing. So Zane, I'm going to turn it over to you and allow you to kind of give us an update of what's going on.
Thank you very much. I was muted there for a second. You would think after a year of doing this, I wouldn't mute myself anymore before I speak, but it still happens occasionally. So first, thank you for allowing me to join. I very much appreciate it. It is a hot topic, right? So we're going to talk about vaccinations. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I will be efficient with what I say, and I'll highlight the high-level points that I feel like are important for everyone to know, and also set kind of expectations between the difference between the City of Philadelphia Department of Public Health and their efforts, and how FEMA is involved in the federal support that is taking place. So to date, there's been a type 1 site in Philadelphia, as many of you are probably aware, and that is at the convention center, where they have been vaccinating approximately 6,000 folks a day. We recently, I think 2 days ago now, passed the 100,000 mark. So vaccinations are going well. And I'm going to start by saying that they have now switched from phase 1 there to phase 2. And I'm going to get this out of the way now because a lot of people have been asking questions about it in my presentations. What that means is they're now shifting to solely focusing on second dose vaccinations. So it's no longer available for first dose vaccinations. So you may be wondering, so why are you even talking to me, right? Well, it's because the same way you would go about registering for the vaccine is in place as it was weeks ago. And I'm going to put in the chat box several things as we talk. And I'm not going to overwhelm it because I want you to be able to have everything at your fingertips. But the first thing I'm going to put is the vaccine interest form. For anyone interested in getting vaccinated, that is the link you want to follow. It will take you to a form that you could fill out and asks for your name, your phone number, email address, and you fill out a questionnaire. And from there, you could go about getting registered, right? And if you qualify, if you're in 1A or 1B, you will be contacted to schedule your vaccination appointment. And this isn't just at the convention center. This is through the City of Philadelphia's Department of Public Health, and it's all of their sites. So if you qualify, you could get an appointment at their site, right? That's the first big thing. Right now, they're doing 1A and 1B. That is not a decision that FEMA makes. That is the decision that the City of Philadelphia makes, and it's 65 and older. So it used to be 75, but they bumped that down to 65 and older. Everyone 65 and older or in category 1A or 1B is eligible at this time. So that link that I put in the chat box would be your first stop. If we also realize there's a digital divide we need to overcome, right? I myself am not a huge fan of technology. Sometimes, Mark, I think I picked up the phone and I called you. I didn't send you an email. A lot of people don't want to text or email or have a computer, and we get that, right? So you could pick up the phone, dial 311 and select option 5, and you could speak to someone to get assistance with registering. So we realize some folks don't have access, so that's a good way to get assistance. When I'm done talking, I'll put my name, my phone number, and my email address in the chat box so that you have it. And you could reach out to me too. Yesterday, I registered 7 people. The day before that, I registered 4 people. I want to help people get registered if they want to get registered. So if 311 doesn't work for some reason, they could reach out to me, Zane Hadzick, and I will assist to the best of my ability as well. So that's 2 things. The other big thing that comes up, the third thing that we discuss is transportation. How could folks get to the convention center if they have a second appointment already. And SEPTA is offering a, it's called CCT is the abbreviation, and that stands for Customized Community Transit, and it is offered to individuals with disabilities and senior citizens, and it's free of charge now. So that is also an option. And the other big thing that I need to highlight after getting all that out of the way is, so I said we did phase 1, which was the first dose. We're switching to phase 2, which is now the second dose. After 3 weeks of doing the second dose, the convention center is going to switch over to Johnson & Johnson for 2 weeks, which is the one-shot vaccination. You're one and done, and that's for 2 weeks. So if you are interested, please follow that link in the chat box, register, call 311 and register that way. Contact me and I can help if needed for registration. And if you are in 1A or 1B, you will be contacted. It's quicker now that they're getting more experience with it for scheduling your appointment. And even if you are not in 1A or 1B and you're still interested, please complete the form, because when your time comes, if say you're in 1C or you're in some other category, when your time comes, you will be contacted and you could schedule your appointment that way. The last thing I want to point out is there is another site in the works for the city of Philadelphia that's going to be federally staffed and resourced. However, the location at this time is undetermined, but Mark, I have your email address. I could always shoot you an email the day that I find out information so you could disseminate it to your group of folks and everyone could be as informed as possible. This is the mission now. This is what I am devoted to, getting the message out there on vaccinations and answering any questions folks have. So with that, I'll go ahead and pause and take any general questions that you may have. I know I kind of rambled on a little bit, and the message has changed recently since we shift to phase 2 of this, but the big takeaway for you here is if you are interested, please register, link in the chat box, or dial 311 option 5, or you could call me. I'm going to put my phone number and my email address in the chat box so that you have my contact information. But with that, I'll pause and take any questions that you may have.
Zane, I'll kick off. And
Yep.
you said another spot will be opening. Who selects that? Will that be the city of Philadelphia or FEMA? Will that?
That's a great question, and I don't 100% know the answer on who makes the final decision. I do know it's a joint, it's a collaborative decision. They are talking together now to find out where the best site would be, I guess. But what I heard, and this isn't definite, but from the talks that we have heard, they're thinking somewhere in northern Philadelphia.
Got it.
Yep.
Do you know when that will open? You may have said, I apologize.
No, I think they're going to have a more definitive answer in the beginning of April, though. So that's not far, a week.
Great.
Any updates for folks under the age of 65? No, I don't. I can tell you, though, and you're going to be like, why didn't the Department of Public Health come? Anything when it comes to the decision making for 1A, 1B, or those under 65, or if you don't have a pre-existing condition, it's going to be up to the city of Philadelphia on when they make the decision as to what other classifications could come in or what other categories could come in and get their vaccinations. FEMA's supplying the resources and the vaccines, but we're not making the local decision. That's up to the locality. I see another hand, Randy.
Dr. Sherwood.
I was just going to
Sherwood.
ask, as FEMA, are you guys going to come back? You said you're only doing second shots now. Are you going to come back? And is there any opportunity that you might come back in the suburbs, or is it just people in Philadelphia that are able to get the shot from FEMA?
Great question. So right now the convention center is on the second phase. After the 3 weeks of this second phase, so the second phase starts today, it goes for 3 weeks, it ends. And then the last 2 weeks at the convention center, we go back to Johnson & Johnson, and that's the one and done shot. So we'll be there for that. And then the second site is going to be somewhere in the city of Philadelphia, and I don't have any information on suburbs. I do know that we are opening others. So I'm from Region 3, so that's Maryland, Delaware, DC, Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And I know that there's other sites opening in Maryland and Virginia, like bigger ones like this. So I don't know of any suburb sites opening. One thing that I should have said earlier when I was speaking is a lot of folks think, hey, if I get a vaccine at the convention center or one of these federally backed sites, am I taking a vaccine away from the other city satellite vaccination centers or community organizations or churches that are doing their own vaccination program? And it's not the case at all. In fact, we supply our own. So by getting a shot through the convention center or some other new site that comes, you're actually opening up vaccination opportunities at these other locations.
Great. Anybody
I
else?
I have a
Go
question.
ahead.
Hi, Zane. Thanks.
Hi.
My name's Priya. I'm with Fishtown Neighbors Association. We're just a group of volunteers, and this isn't an established program, but I just realized that, especially the digital divide that you mentioned, there's a lot of seniors in the neighborhood, and I know that there's just a hard time getting through all of the things. So in addition to one of the programs, I just have been asking around if anyone needs help scheduling. And so I'm trying to figure out how to actually fulfill those requests. So when you said that you've helped actually register people, and do you just fill out the city form for them and then get an email back, or are appointments opening up, or what should I do, I guess, in that case?
Fantastic question. So when I was referencing my experience of assisting people with registering, yes, the link I put in the chat box, I click on that, it opens up the pre-registration form. I read it to them, and I say, name, or whatever the questions are. Do you have these existing conditions? Fill it out and click the submit button. And some of them don't have emails, right? Or they just have a phone number. So they will get a call when it's their turn. So I don't take the next step. I just get them registered to either get the email, get the text, or get the phone number. So what I've been doing myself is, like these, there are some in-person events taking place, and I've been traveling and bringing my computer with me and sitting in the corner. After I do my little talk like this, I sit in the corner and align forms, and I just register those interested. I scheduled an upcoming pop-up event. It's some community. I can't remember the name off the top of my head because I've been scheduling so many. It's some sort of food drive, I believe, where I'm going to be sitting on the side where people come and pick up food or something like that. And I'm going to have a side location where I just register people. So a lot of times I think people think that the process is a little more complicated, or they just feel a little overwhelmed, and I don't blame them, right? Some people they're not super familiar with computers, or they're a little reluctant, or whatever the case may be. I know some of the communities I go to, there's concerns about immigration status. That's another thing that I wanted to talk about earlier. They don't check that at the convention center. You just show up and you prove that you live in the city of Philadelphia. That's it. There's no, so that's another message that I put out there when I do these events. But simply being a face and a friendly offering to help register them is what I've been trying to do. Okay.
So just to confirm that, if say they don't have an email, they'll get a phone call when they're invited to register or schedule an appointment. Okay.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And when you fill it out for them, it asks if it's a home phone number, a mobile, or a work. So if you put home, they won't text or anything. They'll pick up the phone and call.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Of course. Thank you for the question.
Anyone else? Zane, we're back to you.
All right, I'll say one last thing, and it's probably something you heard many, many times, but the current guidance is if you want the vaccine and you get the opportunity to get one, don't hold out for a specific one. Get the one that is available. I know we've heard a lot of people trying to hold out for a certain one because they didn't want 2 shots, but if you have the ability and you can make it work to get the first one available, please capitalize on that. Again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. Name, phone number, and email addresses in the chat box. I'm very, very passionate about this and the mission. So again, thank you for allowing me to join. It's been a fun group.
Zane, thank you. And again, I know you're all over the place these days, and we're lucky we have several of my colleagues on who have from different corridors to take this information back. You mentioned about the Johnson & Johnson.
Yes.
Do you think that starting with that will accelerate the process of people being able to get vaccinated quicker once the Johnson & Johnson hits?
I can't answer it, but I would say I would hope, right? And I think that I know personally from speaking with community members and people across the city, a lot of them want that, right? A lot of them don't want to have to go back and forth and do the second. So I have a hunch that maybe some people have been holding out for that one. But I really think that our message is finally really ramping. It's really getting traction now. It's really been resonating. My phone's been ringing off the hook. I think I heard it ring 3 times during this presentation in the other room. So it's a good sign. I think we're going to get more folks vaccinated. The numbers are going up. I think folks around the city are happy with it. You probably noticed recently there were a few zip codes that were identified. 22 zip codes were identified as being under vaccinated. So they tried to make walk-ups available for those zip codes. That just ended yesterday. But we're doing everything we can to get as many folks vaccinated as those want to be vaccinated.
Right, before we let Zane go to take a show on the road, I wanted to open up any final questions, comments, anything you want to take back to your folks. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Mark, thanks for arranging this. I'm Mike with the South Street Head House District up a little south of Mark. Zane, I appreciate your information, your enthusiasm, and your efforts. I really do. So I would contact you if we wanted to do something similar for sort of our business community. We run weekly farmers market. I could see, it has an older skewing clientele there. So is that something we would contact you about for signups for information like that? If
Please.
You're not busy on a Sunday?
Please. Wait, weekend? No, please.
Another day, I know.
Yeah, I highly encourage you. If you think there's a good fit for me, I try not to be overly ambitious or overly anxious about this, but I am incredibly passionate about it, and I will do my best if I can't get there to get one of my colleagues there. But I don't have too many weekend events booked right now, so please contact me and we could see if we can make it work.
Okay. I got one for you.
Okay.
So it's the actual the Philly Spring cleanup is April 10th. We're doing something. What time is it, Randy? From 10 to 1?
Yes, 10 to 1.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yes, 10 to 1.
If only. That would be awesome. We're going to do it right by the the L stop there. Maybe that'd be great if we could also add to it signing people up to be vaccinated as well.
Of course. Please let me know the details, Mark. Send me a follow-up call, text, email, and I'll make myself available.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Real quick, is there like a link for any signage that we could probably post? I run one of the comedy clubs here in Fishtown that we open tomorrow. I don't know, is that something we can get?
When you say sign, do you mean general vaccine interest, or do you mean for one of these events?
Probably general vaccine interest to get like, hey, here's the website to sign up. Here's,
I have it in 5 languages. Would you like all 5, or should I send it in?
I'll email you.
He's fluent in all 5.
I'll shoot you an email after this, because I was going to also, I run the Fillmore here in Fishtown as well. So we have the space to vaccinate people. Currently on South Street, the TLA is being used 6 days a week with Penn Medicine, and we're vaccinating about 2,500 a week. So yeah. So we've offered our services to the city and FEMA. We just have not heard back for our venues.
Fantastic. Yeah, if you could follow up with an email, I will give you stuff to post for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Matt, Zane, sorry, real quick before, I think this might come up for other people, just that's why I'm asking. I'm on the form, and where it says email, it looks like it's a required field, and I'm not able to submit the form. What do you think I should do there?
I'm very happy you pulled that up. Did you put a phone number in?
I did, and it didn't work.
So that I encountered the same problem, and it just requires one of the two. So it's strange to me. So if you skip the email, it says required, but if you put the phone number in, it should go away.
Okay, let me check. Maybe I have like a weird spacing or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I panicked the first time I was doing it too. I had a line of like 50 people, and I was registering the first person. I got an error message, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a fun night." Yeah. But it turned out that the email wasn't required if I had the phone number in.
Okay, I'll keep trying. Thanks.
Okay. And if you don't resolve it, please feel free to reach out to me afterward.
Cool.
Yep.
Anything else, guys? Great questions.
Fantastic questions.
Come on, Donnie, you have to have a good one.
I asked the 65 and under.
Then you're covered.
Bob from Pat's Music will be 65 in like 3 weeks, and they denied him.
Oh, God.
They denied him. He filled out the application. They denied him because he is not yet 65. So that's the reason why I asked. I just spoke with him today.
Like waiting till midnight to turn 21.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. You know what? One thing I actually encourage folks to do is when they look at that form, is because the questions for pre-existing conditions, I think a lot of people hear that when they say 1A and 1B and they think, oh, I don't have any pre-existing conditions. But I can't tell you how many people read through that list and was like, oh, I have high blood pressure. I didn't know that was a pre-existing condition, and they would have qualified, and they waited weeks and weeks and weeks until I read them the form. So I'm not saying this would apply to your friend, but it's worth taking a glance. You know, even if you're 40 and you have high blood pressure, you check that box and it changes your status.
I'm not going to say if he's Donnie's friend, he must have high blood pressure, but you know.
Well,
The humor never stops.
he is in the music field, and he has not worked in a year. So
Yeah,
Before
I was
sorry.
gonna say that's probably not for this call, but like that is something that we were looking into, being, working with Live Nation. It's like, is there opportunity for us once the phases are open to all of us to do targeted vaccination drives? Like for the music industry, for the service industry, for the bartending industry. Just I'll put that in an email too.
Okay. Yeah. I promise I will not regret putting that out there. I am passionate about this stuff. I live for it. So I'll be on standby for it.
I do have another question.
Yes, sir.
Since you brought up the checklist, whatever, how thoroughly is that checklist gone over? So, for example, if my friend was to say he has high blood pressure, but he may not have medical proof that he has high blood pressure, would that come up? Would he get snagged on that, or?
I don't have.
Especially if he lies.
I know what you're saying. It's not the first time it's come up. I don't have a definitive answer for you. That would fall to the city level at the door, but I could tell you I was there this morning and I didn't see them asking for documentation showing high blood pressure.
Perfect. Zane, thank you again. This was awesome. We look forward to working with you. I'll send the information to you about April 10th, and certainly please feel free to use Zane. He's a wonderful asset. And certainly feel free to give us a call. Randy and Kay, if you could stay on the phone afterwards, I might as well take you while I have you. Guys, have a great day. Stay safe.
May I ask you one question?
Sure.
Would it be, is anyone camera shy? Would it be okay if I snapped a screenshot of this, or should we not do that?
People were hanging up, but I'm happy if you did it.
Any other objections?
I was gonna say I don't care.
Dr. Sherwood?
No,
Doctor?
I'm good.
All right. If I say 3,
Take a screenshot.
Please do.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Zane, thanks again for everything, my friend.
And the reason
is showing people that this works goes a long way.
Absolutely. That's
We've
great.
had communities say like, really a Zoom meeting, and if I could show them a picture of me smiling with a group of other people, not, booing me. I
That's
think
why
it
we
goes a
use
long way.
Matt in our calls. People tend to gravitate towards to wherever he is. So it really works.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank
Zane,
you again,
thanks
everyone.
again. We'll be in touch.
Yep. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.